Well, good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome to my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. I'm your host, Adelina Shickova, joining from beautiful Vienna. Uh, I have not done this interview over Teams for a very long time, so bear with us with the special effects backgrounds and all sort of things that have been changed. If you have been following the videos we did some weeks ago. So always nice to try something new. And Adelina is a great guest here today to share, her journey and being someone that is always looking for something new, trying something new, building something new, looking for innovation. So I think it's a nice fit together with everything that I said. Adelina, warm welcome to us to the Making It in Austria. Where are you joining from, by the way?
Hello, it is my pleasure to be here, part of this channel today. I'm joining today from Villach, from Austria. We're in
Oh,
the south,
nice.
close to the Italian border.
Oh, that's nice one. That's a really nice one. So I'm really happy that, but you live in Vienna, so you're kind of living between Vienna and
Right,
Villa.
correct.
Nice, nice. Yeah. So you have the busyness, and then you have the nature, the lakes, the closeness to
Yeah,
Italy.
absolutely.
Hashtag
Austria is
jealous,
fantastic about that. Yeah.
jealous. Uh, yeah, big fan of that part of Austria. And I'm happy that you're joining from Villa because I did over hundreds of interviews now, and most of them do tend to be the ones that are in Vienna. And but we do have guests from Graz, from Salzburg, Gmunden, and many other places from Austria. So it's nice. It's always nice to uh, mention a couple of other names because people are looking for the opportunities around the Austria. So Adelina, where do we start? So you and I had a nice chat the other day, and we talked about a couple of inspiring things and journey that you have taken yourself. So everybody prepare for to get inspired and dream big because when I saw your bio, I was like, wow, that's a lot to unpack, and it's really something. Wow, what you have done. So it's very colorful. So that's the first word that comes to me, and yeah, walk us a little bit from Bulgaria, Sweden, Austria, and all these great places and achievements that you have done.
So much, Adela. Yes. I would do so. I hope it inspires people. Definitely, my journey has not been very linear. It has gone through a
Yes.
lot to the north, moving down to the south. Yes, indeed. Well, I am born in Sofia, Bulgaria, and I always wished to travel to see the world like many young people do. 20 years ago, it was not as easy as it is today, I have to admit, with Bulgaria not being part of European Union, etc. So I had to work much harder to earn this privilege, actually, to study and live and work in other countries in Europe, or just to visit. Even just to visit was a struggle back then in the 90s. And however, I was really mentally prepared for that. I wished it so much that I was looking for all sorts of opportunities. And finally, an opportunity really happened. And there was this competition organized by the Swedish embassy in Sofia, together with the Swedish Institute, which is the body which is giving the scholarships in Sweden. And they organized a competition in physics in the spirit of Alfred Nobel in 1999, December. November and beginning of December. And this year the awards were in physics, so this was the topic. And then my university, which was the Technical University of Sofia, where I studied, together with the Sofia University physics faculty, we participated in this competition, and we were competing for 2 scholarships, one for the boys and one for the girls, for gender equality back then. And after numerous rounds of the competition and interviews, etc., I got the news that actually I have won the ladies' award. And this is the pivotal moment in my life, not only in my career but in my life, because then I was able to travel outside my country, and this was the first time I actually left Bulgaria. I traveled to Sweden. I met different people, professors and scientists who have won Nobel Prizes for real.
Wow.
Yes, yes. And I got the privilege to visit Ericsson and had courses at Ericsson as well, Ericsson Microelectronics specifically. And then later on, I applied for to study at the Royal Institute of Technologies in Stockholm, and I got a scholarship to study there. And this is what helped me study abroad and fulfill my dream. So this is how it all got started. And later on, I don't want to bore you here, but later on, I did my master thesis at IMEC, which is the biggest international microelectronics center in Europe, which is in Leuven, in Belgium, in conjunction with the Catholic University of Leuven, KUL. This is where I did my Ph.D. afterwards as well and worked. So I stayed for a long time in Belgium as well.
I'm curious, Adelina. So, if you were in Nordics, were you one of the few women that participated in these technical studies and pursuing the master degrees, or it was more of let's say equal or close to 50-50 participation?
Everywhere in the technical field, regardless of the country, women were less represented. I studied physics in my high school. I graduated National High School for Physics, Mathematics and Natural Sciences, excuse me. I studied Professor of Physics. We were only 5 girls in Sofia. Then at the Technical University as well, very few girls in every class, always 3 or 5, around that number. And then in Sweden, again, very much low representation again. And this continued throughout. And even now at the company, I work for Infineon Technologies now. I'm a program director. Very frequently, it's either only me in the meeting room with between 10 and 20 participants, or we are 2 women in the meeting room, maximum 3 have been so far. There is a better representation in the marketing department.
Yeah.
However, still rather low representation of women, I would say, in this area. And the area is semiconductors. Specifically, my field is nanotechnology, so still low.
And your company is known to be, having a CEO as, the Infineon Technology. So I had a chance to listen to your CEO while I was doing my my MBA studies. So you and I did the MBA studies with the Vienna University of Economics. We did the MBA there. So I did the one with the Technical University, and then I had the opportunity, the honor to listen to your CEO, and then, to hear her passion and,
yes,
vision, and, how she does it, and everybody was like, wow.
It is very well. I have an opportunity to listen to her on a more frequent basis. She is very inspiring indeed. Yes, I agree to that.
And for you, Adelina, so I spoke to over hundreds of guests here on on this YouTube channel, and there is always a moment. If you look back, there is a moment that said, "Aha, I want to do that." So. Because you're someone from the family or some friend, or you saw something, or you read something, or I had some guests that we went back when she was 4 or 5, and then she shared a story, and then we were like, that might be the moment where you were saying, because I want to be that when I grow up. So for you, pursuing a PhD in nanotechnology, so there has to. Yeah. So how did that come? So because that was relatively new, right? Even in that time, and nowadays, but in that time. So how how did it come together? So how did you find like I want to do that? Because for instance, I did my studies very much because my older brother was doing it, so he was doing, but then I said I'm not going to do the electrical engineering. I'll do telecommunication because I want to pursue that more, and my brother was pursuing another. There was some role models around us, around me.
True, that is true. Well, I have to admit, coming from a family on my father's side, rather scientific, and my father used to work in the television as well as an engineer, not on camera, behind. And I did study just like you, telecommunications, actually radio communications and satellite systems at the Technical University in Sofia. This was very interesting to me. However, when I had the opportunity to study in Sweden, I thought I want to change for my next master degree. I want to do something that I do not have the opportunity to do in Bulgaria. And back then it was not available. Now I think it is, but back then it wasn't. And I could either have diploma from the Royal Institute of Technology again in radio communication systems, in wireless communications, or have something different. And I opted for something different. And nanotechnology was the one that was emerging. Actually, the program was called System on a Chip Design for embedded systems. And this is where I applied. And it was not easy. It was the first time when I studied in foreign language, in English, and it wasn't easy for me. The transition was not.
By the way, how's your Swedish? Since you,
I rather read now. My speaking is not so good anymore. I do not have the opportunity to practice so often, but I love it.
Yeah.
Jag älskar svenska. I love Swedish. It's just, for me, it is one of the most melodic languages. I adore this language.
I told you the other time that I spent some summers there, and then I worked for a Swedish company, telecommunication company from Vienna, and then I was traveling there back and forth very often. And I do as well recognize the melody and, being greeted. So that was always fun being greeted in Swedish every time I would land in Stockholm. So
Yes.
it's yeah. And then I was like, yes, that's really nice, but and then like, but yeah, it's a beautiful language, and I had a chance to work with there later on through all the in this company that I'm working at the moment as well. So really melodic language and nice people.
Nice.
And how did you came to Vienna then, Adelina? So from Belgium, then there was Vienna. So we're coming closer.
Not that directly. I was homesick at some point after I finished my PhD. So I went back to Sofia for 2 years, joined a telecommunication company. And then, however, I got a job offer from GlobalFoundries in Dresden. And then I went there because it was directly related to my PhD topic. So it was very exciting projects that we worked on, and I'm not sure even so many years later if I'm allowed to tell. It was confidential back then. I'm not taking the risk. Yes.
So Germany it was from Germany then to Austria, right?
From Germany to Austria, exactly. So I came to Austria in 2015. To discover the beauty of this country and the fact that they do not exactly speak German.
So it's 10 years for you now. It's a big year.
Exactly.
Right?
Right. Okay. Exactly 10 years in January.
Okay. Because when we had our 10 years, I was celebrating. So I did a big celebration.
Yeah, I should do as well.
And then I did. I invited a circle of it was a big circle of women and men who were supportive of us coming, my husband and myself coming to Austria, and I wanted to have an evening, where we all come together, and where we come and appreciate those moments and get to realize how we met and what was back then. And then they had the chance to meet each other, and then we had nice food and cake and drinks and a lot of kind of stuff. So I'm happy that I did it. So it was like this crazy idea. 3 months before, I was thinking, oh, I should do something, I don't know, I should do something. I feel like I want to do something. And then little by little, the puzzle was like, okay, I'll do that. So I'll invite everyone.
And I'm inspired now.
Because you are, so I recently did an interview with Julia, and she was turning 5 this year. So I think for her it was a 5, so it's also a nice milestone. But she was also thinking about something. So 10 is definitely, yeah, a year that has been a lot if you just count the big ones. And then so what was the cultural shock? So you mentioned the language. I also learned the language, the German language here when we moved to Vienna at Deutsche Akademie. And we learned German. But then when I started working, nobody was speaking German, because it's one thing is writing, the other thing is talking, especially meetings and writing emails internally as well. I was like, I remember that first morning with the product team, I was sitting there and thinking, I don't understand a single word what Horst is saying. Like, is it just me? And then I asked my 2 colleagues, and they said, like, same. It's just the dialect, and I could not follow.
Very interesting.
So I had all these months of learning, and it's like, throw it away. It's like,
Oh, yes. For me, I was at the company, and we were, again, approximately 20 people team. A new project is starting. The project manager from Berlin, and it's in Austria, but he's from Berlin. So he starts speaking, and then he asked me, Adelina, can we proceed in German? Because, you're the only English speaker. And I said, I fully understood everything he was saying. So I was like, yes, please go on. If I don't understand something, I'll ask. So he goes on, he introduces the project. I'm proud of myself. I'm following. Everything's fine. And then and then there was some disagreement happening. And then people got emotional. And then the moment when the Austrian colleagues got emotional and started talking a little bit at elevated raised voices, and they switched each of them to their own dialect, I had no idea what was going on until the end of the meeting. I completely lost. I had no idea. And then the manager comes to me in the follow-up meeting. He's like, can we again do it in German? I was like, never again. Never. We are done. Or I ask him, if you can do it in Hochdeutsch, in a proper German, then yes. But it seems that speaking proper German is sometimes more difficult than speaking English. So
I had
stayed in English.
Supportive environment, yes.
Too different.
Agree. It's very different, as especially because they cut. It's like they cut the words. That they syllables. It's very different. So you have this in the pronunciation, and then you have complete new set of words that.
Yes, it's the words and also the melody, because your ear is tuned to when one word ends, when the next one starts. It's completely different.
Yeah. So that I had the same story. So then I remember during the lunch break, I was like asking, is it just me? And then my 2 other colleagues were like, yeah, the same, even though they were longer in Austria. So they were a couple of years more here, but they were also speaking in English and in between. But one of the things that helped me back then was the environment, and then the colleagues who were saying, like, let's give it a try and talk to you, exclusively in German, and not mixed German English. And like, give it a try. You go ahead, and you don't need to know the word. Explain it. We will help you out. But let's stick to one language, because if we go, if you go speaking German and then you move to English when it's uncomfortable, for you, because I really wanted, to learn as quickly as possible. And I was in this more of a customer engagement role. So I was speaking with, mostly the
It is
Austrian
extremely
market.
important. It's
Yes,
extremely important.
because they will not, even maybe first month or so, when you do the customer meetings, they will be, kind of understanding, and like you new, you just join, you're learning and this and that. But as the time goes by, so the expectations are that you can have meetings with the customers in German. And I personally wanted to learn the language, and I had a good environment, but we had few laughs and with the language, and but yeah.
Yes, well, I work for an English-speaking company, so the accepted language is English, which to a certain degree is holding me back. However, well, so I plateaued at a certain level of my German, and I need to improve. I need to take my own advice to improve German, which I do give this advice to people who would like to live in Austria. It helps a lot. However, even in an English-speaking company where it is the official communication is in English, even then, if you're in the middle management, then somehow it works. So for people who want to join, maybe this is helpful information. But what I have noticed that if you go to the technical floor, for example, and you need to talk to technicians, they will be extremely stressed if their English is not as good. So it is much better to speak to them in German just to ease the psychological barrier to talk to you. It is much better for communication, not because of the language, but because of how you're perceived as a leader or as a manager. It is much better to approach in German. And the next step is if you want to really go to the upper levels, to board meetings, this is also much better to be in German. So kind of in between, for middle management, English works, but in the two extremes, I would rather say German is the preferred language in both cases. This is my observation.
That's a good
It
one.
helps. It helps. I would encourage. I would encourage for people to invest.
Yeah, that's a
And
really
now I
good
have to go
observation.
and I have to go and take my own advice to polish it.
What I found, I mean, for me, I was talking as much as I could, and then I found that people, even though you make kind of, these grammatical mistakes and you don't put it here and there, but nobody does, if you talk to people. So I talk to my neighbors and we continue. So it's not, nobody's like kind of, counting where did you put the comma and point. The
True.
conversation flows. And at the beginning, now we are many years here. And but at the beginning, there was a lot of appreciation around that. So you try it. It's
True.
like, okay, how is that? How's that? How's that?
That is
So
true.
in most of the cases, so it was like, okay, that's the word you're looking at, or they continue. So I didn't, or if you really specifically ask, can you help me to understand why is this and why is that? So there was also, uh, also those moments where, I would go to the German class and then I would bring the grammar to work, and then because we had some classes paid by the company within
Yeah.
the company, and then I would ask my colleagues, why is this like that, for instance, grammar, and they would say, because of that. Because it is, it's like
It's like that.
some because the same thing that I was like reflecting on me, how I learned Bosnian language and the grammar. So some things you accept because and then you have the rules and the exceptions and these and that. So I mean, the
I think
attitude is,
languages are not
yeah.
necessarily easier. I have to
Yes,
admit, they are
yes.
not easier.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Also, the pronunciation as well, and we have as well long words, and we have rules as well. So and I think that also helps when we learn German language, because it's somehow difficult as well, and somehow relatable. And in my language, in Bosnian, I don't know how it's in Bulgarian, but in Bosnian, since we have been part of the Austro-Hungarian, so Habsburgs monarchy, so we have took many words from the language itself. So even we might be, we don't write it the same, but we pronounce it more.
Naturalized
Yes,
words into your
exactly. So we
language.
have,
Yes, yes.
yes, we took many words so like thousands and thousands of them. So basically that you say, or some of them got a different a letter in between, and so.
Maybe it's, yeah.
But it's something that we have been comfortable with without knowing that is actually
From
here,
there.
and where does it come from and how do you originally write it. So
Yes, yes.
Adelina, one more thing. So you mentioned, of course, the language and your journey. I also wanted to talk to you about the Vienna Etiquette Society. There's I promise at the beginning it's a very colorful uh, life that you have professionally. And so I wanted to talk about, this, what you have started with your colleague, the Vienna Etiquette Society. You mentioned a couple of really interesting things in preparation for this call. So tell us a little bit about it. Who is it for? How do people can, come to you? What do they need to
Absolutely.
know? All of that. So I'm really curious about that one.
Oh, thank you so much. I can talk for hours, but I promise I won't. I promise I'll be selective. Well, it's a passion project. I met my business partner, Sabrina Winishofer, through the VU Executive Academy Network. I studied with her husband, actually. So she, just like me, she works for a technical company, for Cisco specifically. And it seemed that we independently have been working on these topics which have intrigued us for years before. And then when we met and when we discussed it, she was so excited. She was like, we have to do something together. We absolutely have to do something together. And we were having a coffee after we visited a photography exhibition in Vienna with her and another friend of ours, also a wife of one of my colleagues from the university. So all the VU network. And then Sabrina says, if you already have a website and you have the logo and you are working, you have courses already prepared. And I was giving etiquette classes in China when she used to live in China, and she used to organize the first Viennese ball in Beijing.
Wow.
And they set up a pop-up school in order to help the people understand the Viennese culture and to sell the tickets, because they figured out the tickets were not selling because the people didn't know what to expect, how to behave, etc. And then, of course, after they set up this pop-up dance/etiquette school, the tickets were sold. It was a huge success. And then I told her, oh, I'm also working on that in parallel. And I show her the website already done, etc. She says, oh, we absolutely have to do that. However, in this moment when this is happening, she's like 9 months pregnant. She is literally having her cup of coffee. Oh,
I can relate.
relate, right? And I look at her and I didn't say it out loud, but I thought, oh, it's a first child. You'll be overwhelmed. It's not going to happen. It's a coffee talk. We will probably not do anything with it. And then she gives birth to a lovely boy. And then 2 months later, I receive a business plan. Looking at the business plan, and I'm thinking, okay, so clearly we
This
are
is
doing that.
serious.
She's serious. She has a newborn. She's a first-time mom. She found the time and the energy to put the effort to put together a business plan. I cannot let it fall flat on my end. This is not happening. So I sit and start doing my part of it. And this is how Vienna Etiquette Society was born. And we are both of us very passionate about it. And I can say why from my perspective. Throughout my career, I have discovered that the technical knowledge and the so-called hard skills have helped me to reach a certain level. However, to stand out of the crowd and reach the next level, it has always been soft skills related. It's called soft skills. We argue that they are not soft, they're hardcore skills necessary to succeed. However, the popular soft skills are communication, if you wish. And this is, in a way, emotional intelligence. And my driving force is that I'm very passionate into helping other people advance in their careers and improve their social status through this skill set. Just an example, when I was going through this competition, at the same point, I asked the ambassador. We had numerous rounds of interviews with international relations, with the ambassador, etc. Many. It was like a long competition. And one of the interviews was with the Swedish ambassador. And when I won the award, I asked him, Your Excellency, Mr. Ask, what made you choose me? Like, why me? We had a lot of brilliant contestants there. And he said, well, it was a tough choice, but you were all very good, but you also knew how to behave. And then I didn't quite understand, but then when we went for the award presentation, this was in Sheraton Hotel in Sofia on Santa Lucia, you know, the celebrations of Santa Lucia in Swedish with the candles, yes. And this is the same night when they give the Nobel Prizes in Sweden, in Stockholm, in the Golden Room. And the whole Bulgarian elite was there, plus all the ambassadors. I was sitting next to the German ambassador, who was a lady at that time. And Miss Bulgaria was there, Stoichkov, the football player, famous football player, was there. Everyone was there. And then I had to give interviews. I had to know how to present myself. I had to know how to address the people around me. And then I realized it's not only about me. All I wanted was to go to Sweden, to get the scholarship, to visit Sweden, to study there. However, they wanted to also promote this culture, this competition. It was something new. So then it was followed by TV interviews, radio interviews, and this was the media back then, you know, magazines, TV, newspapers. I was invited to high-level events. So I became, together with my male counterpart who won from Sofia University, we became the faces of this whole campaign, and I didn't know that. They knew they wanted someone who is good enough in the field and at the same time knows how to represent this whole idea that would not embarrass them. And the media, again, it was still very traditional media. Nowadays, with social media, you do one mistake, one faux pas, you will be plastered all over with every influencer that you were dressed inappropriately, or you show disrespect in a certain way, etc. So nowadays, etiquette starts becoming more and more important because you have the possibility to embarrass yourself worldwide at the same time.
And also be super, you know, opportunity to, if you have those manners, you know, to
uplift yourself or uplift the people around you. And this is an example of how I managed to stand out of the crowd back then. Nowadays, if I'm coming from a technical background, right? So I have a few technical university behind my back. Then I wanted to step into the business side. I wanted to take a leadership position. And in a leadership position, it requires a completely different set of skills. Then it really, you work with people. You need to lead people. People communicate in different ways. And diversity doesn't come only based on the country of origin. Diversity comes also from the study background. The people in marketing talk very different language from the people in technology, from the people in finance, from the people in quality. And you need to understand the viewpoints. You need to the emotional and mental flexibility to put yourself in the shoes of each stakeholder in order to make the communication possible when you have them in one room. Even if all of them speak flawlessly the same language, let's say English in this case, there are still misagreements based on the fact that people only see a problem or an issue from their own through their own lens. And then if you want the project to move to a certain direction to be successful, you really need to switch in between the mindsets. So yes, the MBA degree helped me to be able to speak the languages of finance, marketing, in addition to the language of technology. However, being able to put myself in the shoes of other people, this is a different skill set. And to be able to convince them to go in a certain direction. This is a different skill set. And this is exactly what we teach with Sabrina, business etiquette. This is business etiquette. And why I say etiquette? Because the top one is emotional intelligence, right at the top. However, we are all learning, we are all developing, and we are all in different stages of where we are in our own emotional intelligence journey. And it is the hardest skill to train. It requires trial and error. It requires training. It takes time. And the etiquette is just, there are a set of rules. If you follow them, even if you do not have yet the skill set that comes intrinsically to you, if you follow these rules, it kind of keeps you in the safe lane. So it's kind of shortcut to success.
True.
This is why we teach business etiquette, and we are very passionate about it. We of course teach not only this, but also for people who come to Austria and want to do business with Austria or other Western countries. We also cover French and British and German etiquette. We are accredited as well from the London British School of Etiquette and Excellence. We have several accreditations. We are taking it seriously. Yes.
Yeah, and you're living in Austria where the certificates are very important.
It's
in the DACH region. So what's the certificate you have?
It's important
Diploma.
in Austria. Yes, exactly. To have the right certification. So yes, we help people how to communicate better when they talk to different levels of the society within Austria, because Austria still Austria is a very special case. Actually, it is as I have heard once being called, a very laid back but very formal country. Very formal people, laid back but very formal.
I'll note that one. It's a nice one.
It's yes, not as strict. However, there is a level of formality. And it comes from the history of Austria and the history of Vienna, specifically Vienna. It has its roots there. And the more people understand it, the easier it is for them to integrate or just to communicate and be accepted. Because if you want to live in this beautiful city, you want to bring your network to the best, and you want to build these wonderful ideas to life. And it is better to show respect, and the etiquette is just showing respect to the other people, making people comfortable in your presence, making people want to see you again.
That's a good one. That reminds me being invited the first time, and then it's easier to be invited the first time, but then getting the invitation to second time there was something about it.
Exactly, being invited again. And the Viennese balls are a very special place to make business, actually. It's a business event. It used to be a diplomatic event in the past. When it opened to the public, from the aristocracy to the bourgeois to the public, it became a business event. It still is a business event. And just knowing the dress codes and knowing how to behave there, it is showing huge respect, and it's helping you to be accepted. So this is the reason why we had the ball blitz. We were very well booked during the ballroom season. Yes, it was a big success. Fond memories. It was a big success. Yes.
Those balls, especially for us, from the very executive academy, meeting your colleagues, that you have not seen for, it's very emotional as well. So you're just like, you haven't seen your colleagues for years or so. Every year it's like a point where you come together and, have the chance to see who's doing what, who is where, what, and so on. So, and, being in this environment, it just it has so much emotions with it, and you feel like, wow, it just takes you in, actually. So
exactly, and it is very interesting, the psychology of it, because it is an extremely elegant setting. It doesn't matter if it's Hofburg or if it's Musikverein or any other. The setting is always breathtaking. It is really breathtaking. And everybody is dressed very elegantly. And we know in psychology that the environment and the way you're dressed influences your behavior and the way you perceive others. So if everybody is stepping up to a certain level of elevated behavior and certain level of presenting themselves. People kind of they want to confine to the environment. They want to be part of the whole thing. There is a very then the language gets elevated, then the behavior gets elevated. And this is excellent for diplomatic events because there is a much lower chance that someone is going to get murdered. Speaking from the past. Nowadays, again, you can do business negotiations there. You can get connected over a drink and a dance and people in good mood, and you can still push your business forward because, again, connections is what matters a lot in your business, having the right connections. And if you come there and if you're not prepared, if it's a white tie event and you show up with a black tie, for example, first, they might not even let you in.
True.
Second, you might have to serve the drinks if you show up with a black tie. Joking, of course. However, you show this respect. And if your potential investor is there and looking at you and say, okay, this person, he didn't even bother respecting my culture. He didn't even bother to read what was written on the invitation as dress code. How can I trust him to respect me in a business relationship? Like, why? It's building trust is very, very important. And the devil is in the details. This is why we teach dress codes in greatest detail, in the nitty-gritty details, because people who know, they know. And when you show up and something is off, people immediately know. They might not tell you, but if it gets disengaged afterwards, the business relation,
you can connect the dots.
You can connect the dots. And not only about the balls, we use it also in company settings. When you put people in an elevated environment, certain companies also, just a moment when you bring the environment up, even if it is just repainting the walls or redecorating or creating a nice environment, people really adhere to that. A huge improvement in quality and defect density reduction. Just because people do better job, people are more concentrated, people are proud to be part of it. Just when you elevate the environment. It is the same psychology. We use it in business. The Viennese have discovered it centuries ago.
I don't know about you, but I am the person that, for instance, notices shoes. Because that's one of the things that you have to, you can put, white t-shirts, not the quality, but, what did you put as shoes and socks, especially with men. I remember shoes, and I'm a big fan of shoes, male and female shoes. I love shoes. But
you will be so happy here. I'm in Carinthia. People travel from Italy to come to work here. You have no idea. The level is pretty high. The Italians.
Oh yeah, that's the next league. That's the next level. That's the next level. You just go there. So, and I have also some Instagram accounts that I share with a friend, and we just like, wow, you just like amazing. So I'm a big fan of shoes, and then how people connect, because you can do jeans and t-shirt, but then what do you connect that to? Because that's easy. But the shoes and the socks, or imagine. But now the trend is different, and you can combine. Back in my days, black shoes, like the fancy ones, the office ones, and the white socks, no go. But nowadays, it was like, oh my God, that's like white sporty socks and shoe. That doesn't, yeah. But nowadays it's a different. And then for me, the ball, so it's also kind of emotion with the fact that, it's a modern time that we live, and you go out and you see different styles and whatnot. And then you go into a setting where it's one dress code, and it's one dress code. So it's like,
and people respect it.
Exactly. And then you put so much. I remember my first ball, it was with the very executive academy for me and my husband. Oh my God, we spent so much time preparing for it. It's like a lot. So for people, if you are new to Vienna, you have not experienced the ball, so please do think about it. There's like hundreds of different ones. So buy a ticket. It's a special experience that you will cherish your life. It's all this preparation that they're going to do, all this journey that they're going to take. I remember looking for the dress and the shoes and the makeup and all that. So it was a lot of work, I would say, because you have to organize that, think about that, all of that, and but it was so much worth it. It was so much worth it when you look back at that, and you feel part of the whole group of there were thousands of people, so you feel like, oh, you feel somehow proud of yourself. I don't know, it's like this proud moment.
For you, I made a mistake. For you, it was a proud moment. For me, it wasn't. My very first ball in 2015, I did not
Okay.
have a long gown. I actually went with a cocktail dress.
How did they let you in?
It was not. It
Okay.
was in Graz. It was a smaller ball. It was not
Okay.
in Hofburg. They would never let me in. No, forget it.
Okay,
But it
because
was
I
my
was I
very
was so
first
amazed having
experience.
these people looking. It's like they and but the executive academy told us, so the dress code will be
Yes,
looked. So
yes,
it's not
yes.
something
That's
that is
why
like
we teach
whatever.
it now.
Yeah.
I don't want people to do my mistake. My very
Okay.
first experience was, yes, that's not what you do. I have come a long way since then. I have learned properly now.
That's great that you have a lot of stories to share with the people. I was all over it, so I was really paying attention, and first time when my first ball I rented a dress actually.
I rented
I
a
was
dress for my
thinking,
last ball.
yeah, 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 and I did for the first one. I was like, I went to a place and I found it, and then they nicely did it for me, so it was perfectly fitting to me. So it was not like, because I tried other places and you go like, I want to have like really nice one and that fits to me, and the
Yes.
hair and everything. So it was, well, I'll show you some
Actually, a lot
pictures.
of oh, fantastic. A, lo- a lot of stores now we noticed with Sabrina, because
Yeah,
when we teach, we also like to bring the people to certain places and stores
yeah,
and just have it curated for them, explain the difference between a
yeah,
cocktail dress, between an black tie, white tie
yeah,
dress, etc. And we noticed that a lot of the department stores are actually selling dresses which one fits all, which means it fits nothing, because
yeah,
then you end up with a
yeah,
spaghetti stripes, or you end up with a slit way up, way beyond the
yeah,
knee,
yeah,
up
yes,
on the
yes,
thigh, and
yes,
it's
yes.
really it is not appropriate for a white tie event. And when you go there and when you ask, they really tell you this is suitable for white tie event. And if you don't know, you might they will simply sell to you something that you will feel uncomfortable afterwards when you go there and when you see the people who are actually prepared. So this is the reason why we teach dress codes. We do the veil ball preparation at the university actually, and we go in the details and we explain people also about the fabrics, about the shoes. For the men, it's especially quite complex. Exactly how to get ready, how to get prepared, the fabric, how do you tie the bow tie, everything by hand. We do a very excellent preparation in this, and we have business partners. We are partnering with different companies where you can go and you can really touch the different fabrics. So they show you, okay, this one is from Laura Piana, this one is from Xenia. This is the difference. This is how you distinguish if it's authentic or not. It's really a hands-on learning experience, because it is important. At the end, depends if you just want to go for the experience to have fun, or if you really want to create
Yeah,
lasting business connections. Your level of preparation is different.
true.
And we are aiming for the really high end, for people who have executive background, people who are either MBA students who are already at very high levels in their companies, or for people in customer facing roles, just as you mentioned, because when you face the customer, you also want to be very well prepared and to make a good impression, because then you represent the image of your company
True.
as well. And then it hits the bottom line, it hits the revenue line, because you know,
Yeah.
one of our mottos is never miss a deal again. When we teach sales etiquette, for example.
That's so important, and I do believe in what you have said, and I have experienced it firsthand in my life. So where I got the compliments, I got the compliments that I didn't understand back then, but people were telling me, you know how to dress for the occasion.
Exactly.
And I was thinking, well, it's for me, and I don't mean anything bad for anyone, but for me it was a common sense. So if I'm going to yoga, if we're going to have you have company events and then you have sports events within the company. If you have like 3 days
Yes, we have that, the
events,
team building.
exactly, team buildings, and then you know that there will be going there,
Hiking.
then you know that there will be an evening dinner, so that's
Yes.
a different story. Then there will be some sports events for 3 hours where we're going to be a competition, so I cannot go in a dress or short
Yeah.
rock or having these shoes or that shoes. So it requires a preparation and a bigger suitcase. So I was the one people were always saying, like, what do you have in that suitcase, and what is in that suitcase, because they were humongous. But, well, if you have 3 different settings, then you need 3 different outfits. You can combine certain things, but you said the fabric for sports event is a different fabric than I go to dinner in the evening, and having earrings and having these and shoes and this and that. So I personally enjoy it in that. So it's not something that I feel like a burden on me. It's like, oh my God, now I need to put extra time on it and or buy it or so. But I feel it belongs to that. So either I do it, if I'm there, I'm gonna do it the best,
Yes.
what I can, or I don't go to that because it's,
You don't abide to the mediocrity.
I don't
No,
know what am I going.
it
I'm
has
gonna
to
go
be
with
your
high
way.
heels
That's your way.
to the sports event, because it
Absolutely.
doesn't go. Or if I go in like something super sporty for a dinner in a nice, I don't know, bar and with dinner and 3 courses and these, so it's somehow that it just doesn't work. Even though I didn't see that in my environment, so I didn't have my parents to show me that, or someone within the environment. So I come from a village, from a normal, decent upbringing. So, but it was something that you get through life, and you just understand things that they
Observant.
fit to this and that room.
A lot of things we learn from our environment. We just need to stay observant. And if I like something, I take a break. I look, I listen, and I think, why did I like what this person did or what they said? There's something that made me feel comfortable. Why? And then I say, okay, exactly. It could be that they dressed for the occasion, or it could be that they did not react. They took a moment to mindfully reply, to respond, and then it teaches you, oh, it can be different. Actually, there's a different nuance. There are different ways in which you can handle a problem. So you learn. We
Yeah.
learn through our environment. I was very much inspired by a colleague of mine, actually at GlobalFoundries. Her name is Linda. She's Indonesian. Lindarti Purbanings. She's a doctor in chemistry. She was coming in the most spectacular way dressed with lots of colors and still business looking.
Wow.
And this was new to me because I would stick to the basic
Yes.
colors. I
Yeah.
learned so much from her because she was able to combine bright, beautiful colors from Indonesia and still look put together in a very business stylish way. And we learn also from our people. This kind of a mind opening.
True. True.
Yes,
True.
through people. So, and my mom always says, take care. Take care how you look because you have no idea who is watching and you have no idea whom you're inspiring without even knowing. You might be influencing someone else's life without even knowing. So take care.
Yeah, that's so nicely put. And yeah, to your mom. So greetings to your mom if she's gonna watch this. She can be very proud. And thank you for the on that note. So thank you for the inspiration in this red color. So you put
Today is
the
red, yes.
tone. Today is red. You know your colors. So it's a great powerful. It's a powerful color, right?
My
We
color,
say, and
yes.
it's your color. So thank you so much, Adelina, for today, for taking the time and sharing your passion. We felt it for sure. I had some jokes in some things in between to share, and I do look forward to see more of your work. And I do hope that this interview brings you more people to your classes and open up many other doors. And it's important. It's one of the things that in the busiestness of our life we forget, the manners. Bitte und danke.
Yes, and we really shouldn't. We really
Yeah,
shouldn't.
and we can make great progress without improving so much and sticking to the hard skills, but a little bit of just being mindful and being considerate of the room that I'm sitting in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Consider the room, read the room. And not everybody can. And I'm very sad to see sometimes, just at the end, to mention an example,
Yeah.
there are a lot of, I observe hardworking people and they put a lot of effort and they really do tremendous job. And then, but they get in conflicts easily. And then I'm thinking, they at some point in time they want to get promoted, right? And they do not get promoted because in order to get promoted to a position where you are responsible for other people, you need to show that in order to manage the emotions of other people, you first have to be able to manage your own emotions.
Yeah.
And if you cannot manage your own emotions, how can they trust you with the whole team? And they get extremely frustrated because 10 years in the job, they simply cannot move up. They cannot move up. And they're in constant conflict, criticizing, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's good to bring a point if you have a valid point based on data. However, also how you do it is very important because this person who needs to promote you, this person needs to fight for you behind closed doors when you are not in this room. They need to be confident, so confident in you, because when they get together, the managers, they're discussing whom they're supposed to promote, and your manager has to fight for you. They have to believe in you, and they have to be on your side. If you're in a constant conflict with them and you're demonstrating lack of emotional intelligence, how do you want this person to fight for you behind closed doors?
Yeah.
And they do not get promoted. And I know I can help. However, you cannot give unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
They have to want to come to us, and then we can help.
True.
But it involves a certain degree of self-reflection as well, and it can really elevate the career. And the moment when your career is elevated, then also your social status gets elevated. It goes hand in hand.
That's so
And
nicely put. That's so nicely
yes.
put.
And yes, people can reach us through our website or through LinkedIn at viennaetiquettesociety.com or .at, both are valid. And we are looking forward to have a conversation or just to see people in our next classes. The classes are lots of fun, actually. They're not boring. Etiquette sounds boring, but it doesn't have to. And right now, I will show you, because you're wearing this beautiful scarf, and I've been looking at you the whole time. So I will match mine to be with solidarity with you, so that we can both have scarves.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That's I got this as a present from a friend for my birthday.
Oh, fantastic. No, this I bought by myself. I do not have such a nice story about this scarf.
This one I got from a friend, so as well.
Can I meet your friends, please?
Yes, yes, you can. They're very generous, They're very
I
generous.
also have lots of things from friends, but not today. Not today.
I don't know if it's an etiquette, but I found some ways to, there are some certain things that I really love with my friends, and I do borrow clothes. Yeah,
We do
from
exchanges
friends.
as well.
Yes, yes. I used to do that long time during the teenager with my cousin. We did a lot of that, and then I stopped it. And at some point of time, so especially after the first child, I got quite some clothes from my friends because they were saving. They had some these pieces that they loved, but they didn't know who to give. They waited for the moment, and it's like, oh, I want to give this one to you. And then I continued basically. So I was there are some pieces that I really, really, I borrow and I love it and I feel it, and then I ask, for it from friends, or we find a ways to, I buy something what she really loves, and so on. So you feel your friends closer, so, because they are not that
It's
close, but
true.
you feel you're wearing something that from them reminds you. And I did over the last couple of years cut on my wardrobe in a number of pieces. It's like really coming to the pieces that I
The core.
love. Yes, that I love and that I feel comfortable and colorful. So I added colors into my wardrobe over the last years, since I am a mom of daughter. And then you you have to be the example, and I, it's like, if I'm always black and white, it's like, okay, I want
Yeah.
to add some colors. And I'll tell you, so my husband was really, we when I was like on way to win a few more deals, really important deals for the
Yes.
company, for me, I changed my wardrobe. Upgraded it with
They
a lot
did.
of colors, and
Yes.
it was a really, really, really hit. It was a hit.
All right. So,
I upgraded it,
mm,
like very colorful, very stylish, different, like fitting to the environment. When I was traveling there for the meetings, I really changed it, and I saw, within my company, so it was like, wow, it's like this, she's taking this really seriously, because we had, with sales and deals, you don't get the opportunity to, meet your customers numerous times. You get one
it,
opportunity, and as much as you prepare for the business presentation, you like presentation, and then
yes.
you go 5 rounds, and then you like exercise
Yeah.
and this and that and change. I was also looking into ways like, how am I dressing? So what colors I'm wearing, what fabrics, what are my
Mm.
shoes, and all of that. So and it was my husband, giving like, you should think about these couple of things, like try it out, it's like, and then they say this, like, wear for the dress for the position that you want to that you're
That
looking
is
at.
true. That
Yeah.
is true. And this reminds me also of something very, very important, that in negotiations, and this I'm sure you have had the same learning in business school, because we went to the same business school as you. um, in negotiations, when you're sitting against someone, the person at the end who wins the deal, who is able to influence the other person more, because it's not about winning, it should be win-win for both sides. But the
Yeah.
person who is able to take the bigger part of the pie is the person who is more confident. The person who is more confident that their way of thinking and their proposal is better. And dressing yourself in a way that makes you feel confident, or we call it even dopamine dressing when we teach color codes.
Okay.
It is extremely important. The way, if you're dressed and if you feel like $1,000,000
Yeah.
yourself, if you're
Yeah.
confident, and if you're confident in your idea, you come to this negotiation meeting. It doesn't matter if it's sales contract or something else, and the non-verbal communication that you give, not only the presentation and the data you have prepared, but the non-verbal presentation you bring, the people get persuaded on the back of their mind that this is a trustworthy person. If they're so confident, you influence them non-verbally. And I think you have figured it out.
Yeah.
You have a sense of it. And you're a perfect example of this. Now, this is what reminds me of that. Yeah.
Well, thank you, thank you.
You're natural. You're
It,
natural.
some sort of, but I told you, my husband was. We were talking about it, and I was like thinking, okay, I have this big trip, I have this big deal coming, I have this and this and that. So, and when you are in positions, you said yourself, where the solutions are more or less the same, right? Because we are competing on a world scale, and you're competing with like big names, and it's more or less 10-20% difference.
You
So
stand
then
out.
how do you stand out? It's like, and for me it was like this personal relationship that I was building with people, so always delivering on promise. So if we say that we're going to deliver something today, even as a small piece of question and answer, but we're going to deliver it. And then, when you meet these people in person, so you have to feel, you have to represent what you have just done online. It's like you as you said, that these trousers have to fit me. So they don't have to be the most expensive one, but they have to fit me, and I have to wear them, and this color code and this and that. So it has to fit that, so that you don't have this gap between, online presence, like in online everything's nice, and then you meet person in face to face, is like, okay. So
I have had this. I saw a person who is extremely disrespectful of their health, and they were selling something related to quality. Ooh. And I thought, okay, if this person doesn't care about themselves, if they come in this representation that they come, I strongly doubt that their product. I question now the quality of the product.
Yeah, I mean,
because you don't know anything. It's a first impression, right?
Exactly.
You see them,
it
and
really counts. It really counts. It really
counts. Yes, exactly.
And nowadays, with the online world where people can, see more of you, hear more of you, it's really super important. And I had people who have been following me on LinkedIn, never engaged with any of my posts, so they never liked or commented it or sent a message. But when we met in person, because we did some business together, they were like, wow, when we closed the business, because during the negotiation, everybody's like, you hold your face and you just discuss. But later on, it would be like, I really love your posts, and I read all of them, and I can relate with you online and with you in face to face, because it's the same person, the same vibe, and same energy. So it's really,
you're consistent. You have consistent presence. Yeah, it's very important.
Adelina, I will not, I will let you off the hook, and thank you so much for bringing so much good energy for me personally. So I'll be selfish first.
Thank you for giving me the platform to do that.
And for everyone listening, and I do look forward to come to some of your one or the other your workshop after the baby's here, and maybe in autumn. I really look forward to that, and I want to learn more.
My door is open.
Excellent. So thank you so much for today. I will link your contact details and the website that you said under this video. I wish you all the best and all the nice things coming to you. And to everyone watching this, thank you so much for taking the time. It's going to be a longer video, but it's worth it. So I will let you know the half of it is about the Vienna Etiquette Society, which Adelina is obviously very passionate about, and I have some of my experiences that I wanted to air out. And we see each other with the next interview. If there are no interviews in between, that means the baby is with us and I'm taking a break. But yeah, I will be there one way or the other. So reading all the comments and being on LinkedIn every now and then. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and take a good care.
And let's send her now a good positive energy.
Thank you. I'll need that.
All of us.
I'll need that. Thank you, Adelina. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
So